So I like to smoke meat, and for the last couple of weeks I've been experimenting with a new recipe called smoking drunken drumsticks. And I'm going to add that below so that you guys can, check it out and test it out yourselves. But before this recipe, when I was making chicken, for example, I would season it for a couple hours, and then I would throw it in the smoker, and it was pretty good and pretty delicious. But I realized that it was a little bit dry. So when I found this recipe, in the recipe it talked about brining your meat, which is something that I wasn't doing. So I tried it, and let me tell you, the difference is like night and day. The meat was moist. It had really good flavor, and it was delicious. So because of that, I wanted to make a video where I show you guys how I brine my meat. So stay tuned. So here's what you're gonna need. You're gonna need, first of all, you're gonna need a container to put your, to basically make your mixture. You're gonna need about 40 ounces of water and 12 ounces beer. Now, there's a lot of debate what kind of beer to use. I tend to use the beer that I like to drink. I like IPAs, although it's a Blue Moon, but again, I usually add in the beer that I like to drink because the flavor that's in there is going to be a little bit of that. So about 12 to 18 drumsticks. We're going to need some kosher salt, about a half a cup, and a half a cup of brown sugar. You're also going to need something to stir in your mix, and finally you're going to need a container to put your chicken so that you can brine it either for 3 hours. Some people like to do it overnight. I tend to do it overnight, and it comes out delicious. So you're going to need something to put it on. Now, you might want to get a container that has a lid, and that way you can just put your chicken in there, put your brine, and then put the lid on. I tend to like to put it in here. Not sure why, just how I do it. So let's start with our mixture. First, let's move some of the stuff out of the way. Take our container, add our 40 ounces of water. Put this out of the way. Then you want to go ahead and add your beer. Now you gotta pour this in really slow, if not you're gonna have a foamy mess. Perfect pour. Excellent. Next, you want to add in your salt. You kind of want to stir that in. As you can see, it starts getting foamy right away. You want to kind of keep the foam to a minimum. If not, you have to kind of wait for that to go away. Stir that for a few minutes. So you can hear kind of the salt at the bottom. When you stop hearing that kind of grinding, that's when you can probably stop. And then we want to go ahead and add our brown sugar. Same thing here with the sugar. You want to stir that for about a minute till you can't hear the crunchy sugar on the bottom. Alright, so now we have a nice mixture. I can't hear the sugar at the bottom, so I know that we're good on that part. And we have very little foam, so we're not really losing any of that, when we pour it into the chicken. So, so we move this out of the way. Take our container here for the chicken. Now, before the next step, please wash your hands, because the chicken, obviously we don't want to spread that around, and we don't want to put any germs on our chicken. So I've already done that, so here we go. Stagger your chicken here to make it fit. Now you want to make sure you get a container that's a little bit, you have enough for the water to kind of cover the entire thing. You want all the meat to be covered. Okay, almost there. This one's going to be tight, so I'm going to squeeze that in. So here's about 14 pieces of drumsticks. So it's a good amount for this amount of brine. About a little bit over about 48 ounces, or so that's kind of like your ratio right there. So after you do that, I am going to take a little time out and I'm going to wash my hands. All right, no more chicken juice. So after we do that, here's a pretty little chicken family going on, little drumstick family. We want to go ahead and then just pour this brine till it is filled a little bit over the chicken. That's about right. I don't want to overflow it so that it doesn't spill when I move it around. So now I have a little bit of extra brine. I'm going to throw this away. If for some reason you happen to not make enough and your container is not filling the chicken all the way to the top, you can always add a little bit more water just to make sure that everything's covered. So then the very last step here is just to cover a chicken. Take some plastic wrap. Now you have to be very careful, especially if you're using something like this, because the juice can go everywhere. Make sure it's nice and covered. Ta-da! Well, there you have it, folks. My brined recipe from the smoked drunken chicken recipe that I'm going to again put below so that you guys can try it. I'm going to throw this into the refrigerator for about, again, the recipe says 3 hours. I tend to do it overnight. So I'll do it the night before or the day before, throw it in the refrigerator, and then just kind of wait. The next day, I throw this in the smoker, and I'm going to make a follow-up video about how I smoke the chicken, so you can see the entire process. But obviously, I wanted to start with the brine. So yeah, I throw that in overnight, and the next day, throw it in the smoker, and the taste is delicious. So let me know what you think. Post anything below, like this video. Thanks.